What is natty? So I feel like I've discussed this before, and I'm pretty certain I've mentioned it in other videos even, asking this question. And I'm going to hit on it again because this question comes up really often. Just like random comments I get on my videos, comments I get on my Instagram, and even comments I see people making to other people. Are you natty? Are you natty? Are you natty? Uh, One, I don't know why this matters actually, because you guys follow a ton of people who aren't, and it doesn't matter. Like John Meadows, fantastic example of someone that you would still listen to his advice, and it doesn't matter if he's natty or not. Dave Tate, who cares? Jim Wendler, who cares? Stan Efferding, who cares? It's not like their advice is somehow, oh, I can't take advice from Mike Israetel because he's not natty. I can't take advice from, pick whoever it is that you guys are listening to, okay? These people are smart. They know what they're talking about. It doesn't really matter if they're natty. Do you care if Ed Cohn is natty? If Ed Cohn offered to teach you how to squat, like I feel like you wouldn't be like, well, I don't know, man. You're not natty. I don't think you know how to squat. So, one, I don't really understand entirely why that matters, because we, myself included, listen to a ton of people who aren't, quote, natty. But when people have asked me this question, I assume that they're asking if I use anabolic steroids or used anabolic steroids. And, the answer is no to that. But if you looked at the rules for things like natural bodybuilding, or even the rules for WADA, and you just said, well, have you ever taken any of the drugs on this list? And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, 7-keto DHEA, which supposedly does nothing, is listed as one of the drugs that you can't take. Now, mind you, it's an over-the-counter supplement, so I really feel weird calling it a drug, but I guess it's a drug, right? 7-keto DHEA. Does it do anything for you? I'm unaware of it having any ergogenic effect. Supposedly, these overweight people in this study, lost ever so slightly more weight. Okay. Sure. It's about as effective as green tea. But green tea extract isn't listed. There's no rules in the natural bodybuilding rules that say you can't take green tea extract. There's no rules in USADA or WADA saying, oh, you can't drink green tea. Colostrum, right? I think colostrum made the list because there's IGF-1 in colostrum. Never mind that if you actually did use colostrum or drank, raw milk or something like that had colostrum in it, IGF-1, it's a very fragile peptide. It would be broken down in your stomach by your stomach acid. It's not like you can drink this stuff and it would get into your system. This isn't the same as injecting IGF-1, but whatever. That's like, oh, well, there's some IGF-1 in colostrum. That's cool. Drink as much as you can. It still isn't getting into your system. That's not the way these things work. It's whatever. But the point being that I want to touch on here is what is natty then? And even then, look at drugs that aren't on the list. Am I still natty, being that I let doctors shoot my knees full of cortisone and stuff like that? I mean, is that natty? There's nothing natural about a doctor sticking a needle into my neck. I had that done too. I had a doctor do steroid injections in my spine, and that's, I don't know, dexamethasone or something like that, I think is what they used. It might have been prednisone for all I know. But the point being, is that still natty? And it's like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of things on that list that we've all used at some point in time. Are people just asking whether or not you use anabolic steroids? Or are they asking if you've ever used anything on this list of banned substances? Even like ephedrine, right? Pseudoephedrine, right? There was some gymnast years ago who lost her medal because she took cold medication. And apparently cold medication is banned under the WADA list. And it's like, who the fuck hasn't taken Dayquil and NyQuil? Like, seriously? I mean, maybe you haven't. Maybe you're so blessed that you never had a cold. But like most of us took Dayquil and NyQuil at some point. Most of us took Sudafed, even before it ended up being behind the counter. Now you have to go ask for Sudafed. It used to be, available right on the shelf. So, where do we draw the line on what's natty or not? And if it's just purely anabolic steroids, then that's fine. But maybe people should be asking a more specific question. And instead of saying, "Are you natty?" they should be asking, "Do you use anabolic steroids? Do you use AAS?" And again, even that's a weird situation because now you're asking someone to admit to, well, depending on what country you live in, but you're asking someone to admit to whether or not they've ever committed a crime, right? Do you smoke pot? Well, everyone should say no because, like, that's illegal, at least in the U.S., and in many states in the U.S. But, the point being that this is a weird situation that people ask this broad question of, are you natty? Well, you have to define natty first. And the other part that I would point out to you guys is that there are studies out there showing that, depending on the study, 10% to 20% of supplements are tainted with banned substances. Shit. How many of you took Jack 3D? How many people took Craze? Right? How many people took these various pre-workouts that had other things in them that weren't supposed to be in them? Supposedly, I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong company, so I'm not going to name the company even though I want to, but supposedly some company that made some kind of whey protein a long time ago, some of you know exactly who I'm referring to, apparently they put 1-andro in their whey protein, which made it very, very effective. Another company, I remember this company very well. I would love to name them too, but I'm sure that there's probably some legal shit behind that. But apparently they put some type of anabolic in their creatine product, briefly. And apparently this is a common thing, that companies will put something in their product initially so that it's super effective. Everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, this is the best creatine I've ever taken." And then they pull that extra little something out. But the people who first tried it, they were like, "Wow, I gained like 20 pounds of muscle in the first month." And then suddenly it doesn't work anymore after that. And that's weird. So, like, are you sure that you're natty even? I don't know. Like, do you use supplements? Do you use pre-workouts? Do you use peri-workout stuff? Do you use whey protein? Do you use creatine? I don't. I don't use creatine, actually. And I know that that's really unpopular, and you guys will go ahead and hate on me for that, but I don't use creatine. I don't see a reason to. In fact, I actually hate creatine, and you guys can look this up. It's up to you. And your mileage may vary, but there's some studies suggesting that creatine disrupts sleep. And I have definitely noticed that if I use creatine, and I'm not saying I've never used creatine, I'm just saying I don't use it anymore. I have definitely noticed, and that's why I stopped using creatine, is that it damages my sleep. Well, maybe damage is a strong word. I don't sleep as well. And I am psychotic about sleep. Sleep is the most important thing in the entire world to me. Ask anyone who knows me. I love to sleep. If I can get 10 hours a day, I'm a happy guy. I'm not a happy person if I get 8. I love to sleep. I need sleep. I want more sleep. In fact, I would sleep 12 hours a day if I could. I like to sleep. I feel better when I sleep. The more sleep I get, the better everything else is. So I don't want to take anything that disrupts my sleep. And therefore, I don't take creatine. But like I said, your mileage may vary. Maybe you sleep better on it. Point being, though, okay, depending on the study, somewhere between 10 to 20% of supplements are tainted with things that shouldn't be in there. So are you really natty, or do you just think that you're natty? And that's cool too. I mean, if from some weird moral standpoint, I don't have any moral attachment to things, like I'm talking about this subject specifically. Obviously, I have morals. I don't have a weird moral attachment to things like if you use creatine, you're a bad person, or if you use whey protein, you're a bad person. I just prefer food because food makes you feel full. I can drink a whey protein shake and I'm hungry a half hour later. I would rather eat, my protein, steak, chicken, eggs, whatever, because that makes me feel full. But the point being, okay, and who knows, like there could be tren in your beef or something, like, what was it, ractopamine or something like that was found in beef. So my point being, though, okay, if some weird moral standpoint, well, I've never intentionally taken drugs. Sure, cool. That's cool. I mean, we've had presidents who didn't inhale. That's just a joke. That's just a joke. Relax. This isn't a political rant. So, like, it's one of those things. I think it's silly that, marijuana's banned. There's my political statement for you guys. I probably have said that in other videos before too. You can have alcohol and you can smoke cigarettes, but marijuana, that one's banned. And it's like, yeah, liver failure and lung cancer, that's cool. But this other thing over here, you can't have that. Makes perfect logical sense, right? Point being, okay, what's natty? Are you still natty if you smoke marijuana? That's an illegal drug too, and that's also banned by WADA and USADA. I don't know. You guys have to tell me. Go ahead and comment below what you think natty is. To me, I previously thought that the question of are you natty was purely just a question of whether or not you use anabolic steroids. But now apparently natty includes all kinds of other things, like did you ever use thyroid hormone, regardless if it's T4 or T3? Did you ever use ephedrine? Ephedrine is listed as a thing that's apparently not natty. Albuterol. Albuterol is a common medication given to people for breathing. Damn. I don't have any attachment to these things. I don't look at someone and think less of them because they have asthma, but maybe you do. And if you feel that they're not natty because they use an inhaler, okay, fair enough. If someone has Hashimoto's thyroiditis and they take T4, I don't think that that's somehow giving them some huge advantage over everyone else. You have a fucking disease and you're taking medication. Whatever. I do think it's shady whenever people claim they're on TRT and they're like, yeah, I'm just on TRT. I take 350 milligrams a week. And it's like, that is not a TRT dose. 200 milligrams a week isn't a TRT dose. No. Physiologically, you're out of range. But you got people doing that. You got people going, oh, I'm just on a TRT dose, 250 milligrams a week. No, that's not TRT dose, but that's a different discussion for a different time. Overall, my point being, and like I said, I don't have a definition for this, but what the hell is natty anyways? Because if you look at the list of things that you're not allowed to take in natural bodybuilding, I feel like almost everyone has taken or at least tried some of these things, especially things like 7-keto DHEA. Really? That's banned? I find that weird. That's in like every fucking fat loss drug ever. And like it doesn't work. You buy these fat loss supplements and it's like, yeah, I burned an extra 10 calories. Yeah, that 7-keto DHEA is really making people jacked. That's why every guy on the stage of the Olympia is like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for 7-keto.